Hi.
Okay, so I was just saying hello and welcoming people. We're going to get started here in a minute, just giving people a chance to show up because a lot of us have a lot going on. And really interesting, we happen to be talking about time management today, so it should be a lively discussion. For those of you who are new to the Digital Sprinters Mastermind, let me just kind of introduce you to how things work. With our mastermind, the first half hour for the time being, we all decided we'd want to open this up for the first half hour and allow people who are not members to go ahead and participate in the discussion. The second half of the hour is actually for members only. And that's where we're going to do some planning and talk about goals and talk about how the month went and rely on each other to kind of help hold each other accountable. It's one of those great things to have in business, is to have somebody who you can use as a sounding board, which is one of the biggest benefits of joining a mastermind. Is like having your personal board of advisors. So I highly encourage you either to join this mastermind or to find a mastermind that you resonate with, because the impact that they can have on your business is profound, and it gives you a chance to have an impact on other people. All right, so I did up some slides. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so I won't be distracting. Now, if you want to chat, there is the chat window where it says type your reply here. That's our chat window. So feel free to type messages, say hello, greet each other. I'm going to go ahead and with the slides. And if you want to join in on the conversation, just tell me in chat and I'll pull you over, because we can pull more people over into the live part. All right. Hi there. Okay, so let's get going. One of the topics people really wanted to talk about was time and time management, which is always an interesting topic for people. So, you know, I mean, we start out our day. I mean, either you're a snoozer and you keep hitting the snooze alarm, or you've got little ones to chase, or you get up in the morning and you're an early morning runner. There is so much that happens even before your real day gets started. And typically for most people, when they're building a business, they're building the business in addition to working a job. So if you're one of those people, like most of us, you know, oftentimes you're starting your day with your commute. And some places that commute can be horrendous. I live in the Bay Area. It's not as bad as LA, but commutes here are absolutely ridiculous. And that's before you even get to the office. So you haven't really even started your work day. Then you get to work and you've got team meetings, and you've got strategy sessions, and you've got your emails you've got to check in between all of these meetings, and you've got your phone you've got to answer, and you're juggling all this stuff in between. And then maybe you're going to get a lunch break. And maybe it's a working lunch, or it's a brown bag as quick as you can because you got to run out and you got to go do your errands before you come back from your errands, and you've got more meetings and more strategy sessions and more team discussions. And in between all of that, you've got to get your job done, and you've got to answer emails, and you've got to text, and you've got your phone calls to take. I mean, it just gets absolutely ridiculous. Then at the end of your workday, then you've got your commute home, which again, for some of us is a really difficult, long, arduous process, that commute home. Then if you've got a family, you got to cook the dinner for the family, or you got to help out prepare the meal for the family. And then there's the cleanup and all the household chores that you need to do on a daily basis. And then when you're done with that, you pass out and you go to bed. But wait a second, I think we've missed something critical here. Where is there time for you to be building your business and working on your dream? I mean, there's nothing wrong with having a job. Jobs are great. Jobs help fund you in your effort. But where in this day are you able to work on the thing that's most critical to you, your business? So today we're going to talk about the top 7 time-saving tactics that you can actually fit things into some cracks of time and actually make it work so that you're building your business while you're living a busy life, because life doesn't get less busy. I've been an entrepreneur for many years now. I have a couple of product companies. I have a service company, and I have a consulting company, and I helped found a nonprofit. And I can tell you, life doesn't get less busy when you don't work in a corporate job or a company job. But we all have the same 24 hours. And the key thing is the ones that really win are the ones that really manage that time wisely and who really leverage their time. I was listening to a presentation, and I wish I could remember who it was by, but they talked about time, and they said, treat your time as if it were $1 million, as each minute was worth $1 million. And it really kind of hit home, because a lot of times when you're in business for yourself, you don't think of your time as being so critical. And there's a lot of people that don't value their time, or we're not taught to really value our time. So we need to think of it in terms of, hey, it costs you $1 million. So be frugal with how you're spending it and be conscious of how you're spending your time. So, so we asked around, talked to quite a few entrepreneurs, and kind of pulled together what everybody thought were the top 7. And feel free to chime in at any time. Otherwise, you know me, I'll just keep talking. But one of the things that kind of resonated with everybody that I had talked to, at least, was picking 3 things. If you could just pick 3 key things, 3 key strategy things that you want to do for your business, I say even pick 1, because some days that's all you can do. But if you at least use 1 key to unlock a door, that's a door you wouldn't have gotten unlocked. So there's only 3 things you can do. Maybe it's send out a social media post. Maybe it's write a blog. Maybe it's touch base with a customer. Maybe it's research a product that you want to offer on your for affiliate. But 3 things in a day is not too hard to do, and you can fit it into cracks of time. You can fit it in between meetings. You can fit it, on a walk. You can, check your smartphone. We all have smartphones now. And they're lifesavers for time, and they're time wasters. So if you're wise with your time, I've caught myself watching puppies once too many times. And sometimes I actually have to turn off social media to get things done. But picking 3 things in a day is not impossible to do. So another thing that people are big on are lists. And I kind of have mixed feelings myself. I don't know how you guys feel. Again, feel free to chime in. But people are big on lists. And either there's some people that say make your list at night. There's some people that say make your list in the morning, whatever, whenever you do it, make a list. I prefer to look at it like a shopping list. For me, it's like a grocery list. If I don't write things down before I go to the grocery store, I'm going to end up with stuff I didn't need, and I'm going to forget stuff that I did need, because I'm just going to go fly by the seat of my pants when I walk in the grocery store. And I get distracted by bright, shiny objects. So, hey, there's going to be things in my cart that I wouldn't necessarily have gotten had I had a list. So what I do for business, and because I have a couple that I'm juggling, so what I do is I like to take my morning time. I have a morning ritual that I do. I have pretty much a routine, but that's when I like to write my shopping list. I usually start my week with a shopping list, and I write down the key things that I want to get for my businesses, right? So what are the key things that I want to get done for my businesses? And I make that list. And sometimes it's a long list, sometimes it's a short list. And during the day, I'll actually cross off items off the list that I've accomplished. Then what I'll do the next day, depending on how big the list was, is I'll either pick up that same list and continue working through the list, or I'll migrate things to a new list and start fresh on a new list and then throw the old one away. So some things drop off my list and some things I keep. But the list I've found is very helpful for me. I personally don't write one every day, but there are people that do write one every single day. So that was another one of the time savers for people. Another time saver was prioritization. And I kind of look at this like moving a pile of pebbles. I mean, you look at it and you think, well, this is going to take a long time if I'm going to be moving this pile of pebbles, and I'm moving one at a time. But you got to prioritize which one you're going to move. You're probably going to move the bigger ones first, take the smaller ones later, but you're going to pick which ones you're going to move over first. Same thing with your business. You're going to prioritize what you're working on. And you're going to work probably on some big things and some little things. And it's good to mix it up, because the little things that you can accomplish fast are nice, rewarding things. The bigger things take a little longer. So kind of, for me, it mixes things up. I like to have big and small things. But it is like moving the pile of pebbles. And as long as you consistently work at it, you'll get there. And different priorities are going to happen as things change shape, as things move. You're going to find other things are more important. And that's okay. But keeping an eye on what's the most important thing for you is pretty key. So I don't know, does anybody else have any opinions on prioritization, on shuffling that deck? Feel free to sound off in the chat. Okay. Hi. Hi, we have people just joining. Okay. So another time savings is multitasking. And this is my personal favorite, and it's also my personal pet peeve. Multitasking, I think, is a great thing to do. You just have to be careful of when you're multitasking, and multitask when it makes sense to do so. I have found some people think that they're really good at multitasking, and they're trying to carry on a conversation with me and check email. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but the truth be told, it's kind of hard for them to really give you their undivided attention and multitask at the same time and check emails, right? You can tell that they're reading an email or reading a message. It becomes quite obvious. But other things you can multitask, like I like to power walk, or for those who like to run, and I like to do it in the morning. Well, I'll listen to phone calls while I'm power walking. So I've taken care of a couple of things for my business. I've attended a motivational business conversation that helps get me going. And I've also done my workout. I've been outside, so I'm getting my vitamin D. So I have like triple tasked. And if I'm really smart, I'm power walking off to the store where I need to pick up a couple of things, and I've taken care of that too at the same time. So I've done 4 things, 1 activity. Now that makes sense to multitask. So on times where you can stack things, it's a great time saver. Another thing about multitasking is looking at the tools that you use. I'm going to be doing a tools talk in a few weeks, but looking at the tools that you use and making sure your tools are multitasking so that they're doing more things for you than just one task. You know, we talked about smartphones. Smartphones can do a heck of a lot more for you than just take phone calls or just text. So those are tools and devices that you can use to multitask for you as well. Okay, so let's go on to another time saving. Rotating tasks. And somebody came up with this idea about rotating tasks, and the only image I could think of was roulette. It's because you move your chips from one, then they turn the wheel around, and you either hit or you don't, and then you move your chips again to another one each time around. So it's kind of like that with rotating tasks. It was where my mind went when I was trying to think of an image that made sense. So a lot of times when you're in business and you're working, you've got a lot of things you need to do, and there's a lot of things you want to accomplish for your business, and a lot of tasks and activities. And I'll use social media as a good thing to look at when we talk about rotating tasks. There's a lot of social media channels. Now, the thing is you don't necessarily have time to be on all of the social media channels in a day. So what do? Rather than ignore the social media channel, you go ahead and pick a day. Like maybe there's a day you do one that's texting, you do one that's image oriented, and you rotate it around from different days. Bookkeeping is one of the things. Maybe you take your bookkeeping and you do it on Mondays. Like say Mondays is my bookkeeping day, Tuesdays is my, social media day. You just pick different days and rotate them around so you're not trying to hit on everything in one day. That way everything gets attention, but it doesn't necessarily have to be done every day. You don't have to be in your Facebook feed every single day. I'm not saying you don't need to, but you don't have to. And rotating things around oftentimes relieves that pressure of feeling like you have to do it every day. Another thing, somebody had a great idea, is creating templates. And this person happens to be really, really good with Excel. I mean, they're like whiz demons with Excel spreadsheets. But they can create templates, and they can use those for duplication. So if you have like a standard form, like in business, either it's an Excel report that you want to run, or you have a form that you use for doing blogs. I find forms are helpful, like for doing presentations. If you have a form, a standardized form, then you don't have to think about it. You actually will use your form to trigger. Like it's like creating an argument, right? You state your supposition, you have your 3 supporting arguments, and then your conclusion. And you can use that form to write all your blog posts. So here's the point that I'm getting to, here's my 3 reasons why I'm getting to this point, or why I support that statement, and then your conclusion to reinforce again. And there you've got a simple blog post, right? And if you say, okay, my blog posts are going to be 400 to 600 words, you've got your template. Then it's just a matter of filling out the template with the topic. Does that make sense? Does anyone else have any thoughts on forms? Okay. Another time saving is to clear out the clutter. And this is a big one because you don't always notice it's piling up around you, like papers and paperwork, messes. I find that I work better if my desk is fairly straight. I mean, it doesn't have to be spotless, but I don't like when there's a lot of mess around. It's harder for me to think. And when you're thinking in terms of clutter, think about your computer as well. It's the same thing. You want to kind of clear out messes or piles. I am big on images. I love images. I was raised by artists, so I was influenced. So I'm big on images, and I just recently moved my images, all of my images, out to a cloud and organized them. And it was like liberating. It felt so good to finally get that little rat's nest untangled. But I like this image of knitting. You know, my sister taught me how to crochet and how to knit, so I always have a special fondness for it, and I love yarn. I don't have time to knit anymore, but I still have a lot of yarn. But the thing is you cannot, it's impossible. I don't know if you've ever tried to knit, but you cannot knit knotted yarn. It has to be untangled. It has to be organized in a ball. So it's the same thing when you think in terms of your business. And if you keep things tidy, then it's easier for you in cracks of time to target what it is you need to work on. If you let things get too cluttered, it's going to get lost in a mess. So take some time and unclutter, keep things organized, and just stay on top of it. It's like doing your laundry. You know, you're going to stay on top of your laundry because you want clean clothes to wear. Same thing with your business. Stay on top of things and don't let clutters gather. And then you'll be able to get things done easier. Okay, and the last one, this is a little bonus one. You guys are pretty quiet tonight. The last one is one that I added in. I've had a couple of conversations with a couple of my clients in these last few weeks, and the theme kept coming up about cloud. So I kind of hinted earlier that I just finished moving all my images up to a cloud, but use cloud and cloud computing and cloud storage to your advantage, right? So simple thing. I do memes on images, right? So I do messages on images that I post in social media. Who doesn't? A lot of us do, because images help solidify what we're saying. They help enforce that message. But rather than keep it on my computer, I keep it located in the cloud, in a cloud service, so that I can go and retrieve that image and I can push it out to my social media channel while I'm sitting at the dentist's office waiting for the dentist, right? So I can, if it's there and accessible to me in the cloud using my smartphone, I can get a lot of work done. Another good example is one of my customers was doing some consulting for another company, and they needed to share content documents back and forth, and they all had Google, they all had Gmail. So my recommendation was that they use Google Docs, which is great because then you can share it back and forth and you can make edits and changes on the document and everybody can see it and you have full access. So utilizing the cloud is another great way to work in cracks of time, and it's a huge time saver. Someone else is just suggesting Dropbox. Yeah, that's another one, another good storage. There's a lot of tools out there that you can use for storage. But just research different cloud and cloud computing. Things are secure out there, so take advantage of it. All right, so we're almost to the end of the half hour because everybody's been pretty quiet this month and they're letting me do all the talking, but we're going to end the web session. If you want to learn how you can become a member of the Mastermind, you can find out more information on my website. And I encourage you to come along and join us. As I said, the second half hour, that's where we really get in and everybody starts to share what they're working on and what they found over the month in between. So I encourage you to join us over there. If you are a member, then you've got the email with the link to the phone call, so you know where the dial-in is. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up unless anyone has anything they want to share. And again, I thank all of you for attending, and I hope you all found value in what we've been talking about. I see there's been some chats going on over here on the chat side. Atul, all the way from India, nice to see you. Glad you could join us. All right, well, until next month. And again, we meet the first Thursday of every month at 6 p.m. Pacific. There is a recording. We will save a recording of the first half of the session. So if you missed the beginning part, there will be a replay. And now that you're a part of the community, you should be able to have access to that. All right. And I wish everybody happy business building and hope to see you again next month.